Welcome to the Seasons of Singleness podcast. I am your hostess with the mostest, Tiffany Sneebros. Seasons of Singleness. Seasons of Singleness. All right, so boom, we back, and as you can tell, there's somebody sitting on my couch. For those of you who do not know, we just had a conversation about my dad, right? But it takes two to tango. Excuse my son in the back, he be doing too much, way too much, especially when I'm recording. Yeah, but it takes two to tango. It takes two people to make a thing. And this is the second partner to that dance. Apparently, I want to introduce to the world my mama.
Hello.
Hey, girl. You ain't got to be nervous. This is a conversation that apparently he want to be a part of. Sucks. What? All right. So from this brief intermission break, tell the people about yourself, Ma.
Hi, my name is Sandra Gross. I'm Tiffany Martin.
Is that it? Who are you?
I'm Tiffany Martin.
What else? Is that it?
I'm a mother. I'm a widow now. I have two daughters, a stepdaughter, a step-grandson, and a cat grandson.
And you better acknowledge him, because that's
His name is Sop. And I have two dogs, Kennedy and Benjamin.
Okay. You can loosen up.
I am loosening up. Go
you
ahead.
You ain't got to talk, so have a conversation like you're talking to people, because essentially that's what's gonna happen. We're gonna be talking to people. Feel free to look at the camera. You can look at me. You know, it is what it is. People gonna watch it. They're gonna tune in, and it's gonna be what it's gonna
real.
Be. Yes.
No sugarcoating nothing.
All of that. And I'm happy that you said that. So,
because a lot of times when kids growing up, their parents lie to them. They're telling them the truth and, be honest with them. Don't wait till they get grown. I see it happen so many times. A lot of times people wait till the person go in the grave or whatever. People start asking questions, kids, when they get young. When they're young, you tell them the truth right then and there. But, by me working in the school system, I see it all the time now. It's kind of like Bob, you said, and a lot of kids are so confused, who they are, where they came from.
okay. Well, that's nice. Well, how do you feel? Do you feel that that's what you did?
No, I mean, when I was growing up, my parents had 9 children. My mother already had a son before she met my father. So 8 of us. So I'm actually the middle girl. And there were 6 boys and 3 girls. 3 of my brothers passed away. So now there's 3 girls and 3 boys left. And my grandmother, all my grandparents have, passed away. We had a good life, but as time went on, things started to shake up. when both of your parents just walked out on their kids, which I can understand how your parents walk out on your children. Like that, nobody knew where they was at. And as time goes on, they came around. Like I say, I see it all the time, and you see it all the time with these apathies. People being successful, their parents wasn't in their life. They come around, they want to get on the bandwagon, and people say, "Well, that's still your parent, whatever." But kids have feelings, you know, and that is a hard pill to swallow. You question them and they don't want to answer, even go to the grave with it. When my father came around when I got married, and then when he got sick, he basically got smacked in the face again because he let his girlfriend take care of all his business. Even though he ain't had no money, that's not the point. Somebody that we didn't know anything about. So me and the girl was beefing behind it. When it's time for him to get buried, they come running. Now, hon, you was in charge. Go right ahead. Go right ahead. So don't call me for nothing. So it was just a mess. I mean, I could go on and on, but this is not the time to go on and on about certain things. That's another time.
Okay. And make sure you're speaking up, just in case, so the mic can catch you. What was I going to say? So, as y'all know, this is completely unscripted. Like, whatever the Lord has to say is what typically we say. For me being we. So I guess my question to you, you spoke about parents kind of telling their kids like the real so that they're not necessarily in a space of trying to figure it out. Like, do you feel that that was something that you did as a parent?
Not really. I mean, you all. One thing when you was coming, I never really badmouth your parent, your father,
And I said
but
that.
but
I said that.
it's just the idea. I always took you to see his father in D.C. because at that time when I met him, he lied. You know what I mean? They lied.
Who was they?
Your father, he lied
Oh damn.
when I met him.
You
And come
said they.
find out about
You said
he
they like there
he
was more.
somebody called me on the job claiming they was the wife, but she wasn't. They wasn't legally married, whatever. Because the father told me.
The camera started rolling at just the right time. The tea is piping freaking hot.
The father really didn't care for her that much. But he lied. He was back and forth in New York. Cause he lived in New York, or he lived in Maryland. So as time went on, and he always used to say, "Whatever you did, keep in touch with my fault." That's what I did. His fault. And your cousin Spanky, because y'all were kind of close. And he had a son around the same age as you, Spanky. When I would take you back and forth on the bus up to DC. But how could you tell somebody, a child at that time, your fault in jail? You know what I mean? That's why I never really explained that because you just don't want to tell a child that. And by that time, if I had told you that, everybody would know. You know how kids talk to amongst other kids. And I ain't want that word out. Oh, he in jail. So it's like he disappeared in action. But the good thing about that kept contact with his father. And then later on, that's when you wanted me up there to meet him. We came to get you. But at first, he kind of denied that you wasn't here. So I'm just looking. I ain't say nothing. So I ain't did no beeping and none of that stuff. I just went on about my business, and kept a conversation with the father and your cousin, Spanky. And how I met him at work, because I was in an abusive relationship. I was getting out of that.
I ain't even asked you that.
I was getting out of it. So I thought, and he brought some roses up there in the teddy bear. I'm like, that's like blew me out the water. But that's how I really basically met him. And
Not you busting it open for roses and a teddy
and
bear.
then, yes.
Wow.
And he would come check on me, and people checking on me, and then that. And then that was history. That's about it.
Okay. So you said that you was getting out of an abusive relationship around that time.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I was in there for like 10 years, and we fought the whole time. I mean, fist fighting the whole time. And it's almost like a pattern in a generation. So that's why when I pray for a generation curse. Because if you see your mouth and father fight and
You
stuff.
said you pray for a generation curse?
Yeah, pray for a generation. Break that chain.
Oh, okay.
You know, always put that on the prayer line, because some stuff it goes down from generation to generation. And not only that, in the neighborhood I was living in at the time, seemed like everybody around there fighting on their wives and stuff. It seemed like it's on Friday. A lot of people saying, well, it's a full moon outside. You gotta look at the full moon. It seems like everything goes haywire when the full moon, if you ever noticed that.
Mm-mm. It's funny that you say that things are passed down from generation to generation. I've been having a lot of conversations around how women specifically are born with all of the eggs that they'll produce in their lifetime. So when it is that you are experiencing certain things, the eggs that you still have also inherit that trauma, so to speak.
So that's both what just said it. I think generation curse.
Yeah.
Because it passed on to generation, but you can break that cycle down. You can.
And that I feel, so I had the same conversation with Auntie Melissa not too long ago, a few years ago. We went to go see Papa prior to his passing. And similarly to what you stated before, having those real conversations to say, this is what life is, like, this is what life will be, regardless of if it happens or not. I honestly feel like equipping people, not even just young people, right? But equipping people for what is to come, or what could, like the possibility of the what if, is the thing that will help change the trajectory, especially as it pertains to generational curses. I had a conversation with one of my friends from college, and she was saying that we was telling her that we was out partying and we was doing the stuff.
Mm-hmm.
We did some drugs. Okay, I'm gonna let you know that. And we came back, we told her, and she was like, yeah, no, I can't do stuff like that, because like, and she was one of those people, not only was she studying nursing, so she like, listen, y'all do what y'all do, and it is what it is. But her thing was, she literally made it apparent, like, I have addiction in my family, so I'm not necessarily drinking with y'all all extra heavy, or I can't go out and party and do all of this stuff, because there is a certain level of, I don't know if I'm going to come back from this, because of what I've seen and what I've been exposed to, but also what has been shared with me. It's one thing to kind of like tell people like, oh, your father in college,
Right.
when he in jail.
Right. Because I noticed that even working in the school system, you say something to the kids, they'll let you know in a minute. You can't tell my father because he's in jail.
Yeah.
I mean, they bold with it. So I'm like, oh,
it's kind of like taking it back though, because it's like, all right, like coming to terms with the fact that things happen to people who do bad things. Number one. And not to say that everyone that is in jail deserves to be. Right. That's not what I'm saying. But there are some people who do. And the truth of the matter is, most people who find themselves in those situations typically have done something to put themselves in that situation. And what happens is kids can now, I don't know,
They
if
express themselves better more now. They're more open than
some, yes, and then there are others who may not.
right.
So it's really just about understanding that
and
the
that's because a lot of
conversation.
times the ones that don't, because a lot of times people don't believe them. They be like back in the day, they tell you hush hush, you don't know what you're talking about. If you know good and well, they telling the truth, but they saying hush hush, don't say anything. You know, when these kids come to you, there's certain things going on.
And I think that too is also played a factor, and especially because you came up in the 1950s.
Well, late 50s.
Early 60s, right?
Right.
So like that during that time is different too, because it's like you have been told not to say nothing. Like what happens in the household stays in the household.
Well, it's all depends on your neighborhood too. Because I never experienced what other people say. You know, Susie down Murray, Miss Murray will beat you behind and this and that. We never experienced that like that in our neighborhood. Because I know for a fact, if somebody had to hit one of like my brothers don't would not anybody hit them. Like some people that this one hit. It's never been in that situation. In that block that we was living in, I'm not gonna say, because when I be hearing people say stuff like that, we ain't never experienced that. This one hitting on this, that neighbor hits you and all that stuff. They might tell on you, but my parents would never really do nothing, say nothing. You know, it's not like that. We were in our family at that time before they broke up, we had basically a perfect life almost. We didn't live in no projects and none of that stuff. And my mother would work at John Hopkins or in the nursing home across the street. My father would go. But as time went on, he started bringing and so on. That's when everything started haywire. You know, we basically raised ourselves but I think I was like 13 when they just jumped up and left. Can you imagine 13 years old, worrying about where your next meal in a house, this big house we was living in. I mean, when it, I know our rent must have been, these almost 6 months, no gas and electric. One time the house caught on fire, they wasn't there. It was just a mess. I mean, and that, like I say, I'm the third oldest, third down. My brother, then my sister, and I'm the middle girl. But I'm the one who basically was like watching them. I was babysitting the older chick. So when they always say the telltale one. I wasn't the telltale. I just didn't want them to get in trouble, you know. So my grandmother is the one that came to the rescue. It wasn't just my grandmother. My godmother was working in the school system, and the school was like a block from our house. And she would go around and get kids in the neighborhood to go to church. So the youngest one would go with her first. They were talking about how much fun they had. And we was like, where would we go? Next thing we know, we was going, the oldest one. And then my godmother had gotten everybody godparent, and Lisa how she got be managed to be her godchild. She got sick one time. They needed a babysitter because she almost had an asthma attack and died. And her baby at the time. So I ended up spending the night because I went to the same school her kids was. We spent the night, got them up. We all walked up the street to go to school every Saturday. Then that was history. If it wasn't for her, I don't know what to say. Put it that way. I mean, all those years, as time and then my mother, like my grandma, wasn't for my grandmother had took the other kids and like I said, with none of us, she found godparents for everybody, every last one of the people. She got somebody to be a godparent in that school. And one of my brothers passed away. We didn't have that much money, but their family actually paid for the funeral because they were their godparents, you know. But we was blessed in a sense with all that, even though all that drama was going on. But we never really actually got in trouble. You know, everybody in the neighborhood was saying, "Oh, you're gonna be pregnant at 13" and all this stuff, and none of that stuff happened to none of us. And then come find out their kid was pregnant. It's like you stuck your foot in your mouth. And then as I got when I had my first child, 30, everybody said, "Oh, you're an old lady." This name out, so we kind of like break the cycle in that part because usually my grandmother's side on my mother's side, they all got married like 18 and so on and had children. But none of us got married at that. So that's one part of the generation that we broke. You know, I got married almost 50. My sister got married when she was 26. Another one was like 30. So we broke that kind of generation. Some stuff we broke, but we got to still work on with that stuff. And we didn't have a lot of children, like a lot of, but they all, you would think like three of my brothers don't have no children. Yeah, one might have one might have two. I got two. And the one got the most. She got three, but she would have had five. But two of them passed away. So I think we kind of like broke some generation curses. We still got
Mm-hmm.
other ones that we still got to break the cycle. And a lot of times, like with me, I don't let people know what's going on with me. I just stay in the house and chill. Because a lot of times it's not good to tell everybody your business because everybody not your friend. You know, it don't mean you depressed and all that stuff. Sometimes you just need to talk to somebody. So that's about it.
How you gonna talk to somebody? You ain't talking to nobody.
But I don't be I don't. But I mean, I just
Talk to somebody how?
let me just talk about your business and so on, how you feel and all that kind of stuff.
You mean like a therapist?
Yeah, like some people. I
Oh.
don't need because I know one time we went to the doctor. They talking about you need to go admit yourself in the hospital. I told her the devil was a lie. But sometimes
You sent me to the hospital.
because the stuff that you wrote, okay, and your gym teacher is the one who told me to go get some help for you. He recognized that some teachers recognize certain stuff, and he the one who kept coming to me. And then one day I went to work, you know, I was checking your notes and stuff that you was drawing. I'm like, this is not normal. And then when you went there, you said, because you told the therapist that I kept watching the news. I watch the news too much. With all this killing and stuff going on and all
Did I
this.
lie?
Huh?
Did I lie? You still watch the news.
I'm a news person.
It's too much. You got the Citizens app. It's too much. And it was so funny. Now that you bring it back to memory, because I honestly didn't know like what happened or what was said or whatever. But even now, like to this day, I had a conversation with somebody recently, and I was like, I have a very strong love for people, and I didn't understand like where it came from. So when I see like the things that are happening in the world where people are just like mistreating one another or just being like, I have a very low tolerance for injustice. Um, and
that's come
it
from
literally,
but that's part of our generation too because my grandmother, on my mother's side, her name Margaret Wednesday, she used to watch you when you was little, but she died when you was two. But she always she would take people in off the street in her house. I ain't never. She took so many people in. Not only she took people in, she go like in the neighborhood. She found out they ain't had no food and stuff. She would get them food. That's the same thing. She took all of us in that little house. And then when she passed away, we knew she had insurance policy, and they was like, your grandmother had insurance, but she was paying people in funeral expenses, cashing them in. I was like, what? And then down to come with my mom, where she used to live at. Like she would see somebody, she home frying fish. And I remember that time she had fish, you know, stewed tomatoes and cornbread and something else. The man was eating out the trash can. And she was like, here, take this plate down here to this man. But she got tired of looking at people eating out the trash can. So that part of our generation. And I did the same thing. That's why I had to feed the homeless and all that stuff. If you did the same thing too, you would take my clothes to the school and give it to your teacher. You give them your teddy bears, the good expensive ones, not the cheap ones now, the good ones. And like
You
what
had
they
to
had,
lean in and say,
and then you need a difference between the off-brand stuff. Cause I would go look for my food, my canned goods. Well, mom, you had this and that one. We had to feed the homeless, and I gave them the good ones, Del Monte and all them different ones, y'all. She would give them that. It was like she gave one of my expensive sweaters away. I had two of them. Even though I didn't wear it, the tag was still on, and the teacher called me up to school and said, I know this thing is expensive, and and he was like, well, mom, you got two of them, so I gave it to my teacher. She's so nice, and we used to give you your teacher your teddy bear, the big one, and one of them was sick though. I forgot what her name, and she would be in a wheelchair, and you would send her all them teddy bears up there, and certain things. And then one of your kindergarten kids, we gave her one of my Granny Crystal candy discs, still in the box. I was
how
like,
did
oh,
I find this stuff?
in the house,
Mm,
in my drawer.
mm,
So I
Lord.
mean, I'm like that when I fed the homeless and all that kind of stuff. I didn't go and buy junk. And not only that, my job helped me with something. I got donations. I gave him enough stuff for breakfast, lunch, enough for about 5 days. You know, eggs and bacon or turkey sauce and stuff like that. Not know anything. I wouldn't give nobody something I wouldn't eat. Put it that way. So that's part of the good part of the generation that we picked up. You know, looking out for people, caring about people. You know, even sometimes, even with the animals, I just hate to see animals. I used to feed the cats and stuff. I'm still feed birds and stuff around my neighborhood. Just throw the bread outside because they be throwing all that food away in the school system. I know I got about 20 loads of bread they throwing away. So I took some home, stick it in the freezer, and I had some bread to feed them birds.
Okay. So you talk about like the good things. What what are some of the not so ideal things that involve generational curses? I guess.
Well, the generation curse that we was talking about earlier, you know, like fighting and carrying on and stuff like that. But basically, that's it.
Stuff like what?
I mean, like being in abusive relationships and stuff like that. And a lot of times it don't mean that you have to be fighting. It could be verbal abuse, so on and on, name calling. That's just worse, you know. And that's about.
Hmm. Um. Yeah. I don't know. The first sign of I don't know. I forgot who I was talking to. It wasn't recent. It had been some years ago, but I was talking about abusive relationships, and I was like, I've seen it from a lot of women that I look up to, and um, our close knit family, pretty much. And I was just like, yeah, no. The first sign of anything,
Right. Yeah, I seen it like.
I'm gone. I'm not about to do this. Like we don't have to at
Well,
all.
I mean, I'm at the stage now. Once you, well, at that time back in those days, police and stuff don't do anything. You know, when a woman will call. But a lot of times blame the woman because they bring the man back in the house. I think because they mind is weak when they fall for it. Even though sometimes the men act like that because they drink alcohol and you know they turn into a monster. But if they not drinking that alcohol, they the sweetest person. It's like they switch on you. That's probably what. But I think with
I
my
could
growth,
jack on
everybody
this
have a
head.
breaking point when it comes to that. If a woman in a relationship for a long time, mine was when you start taking my money out of my account. That's what broke me out. That thing, because nobody takes my money and start fooling with them drugs. No, And a lot of times they start fooling with the drugs because if you in an accident or something like that, the doctor hook you up on that cold oxycontin or whatever. You're not careful, you hooked up on drugs. That's why they not following direction. You're supposed to take it like one every 8 hours. Don't skip it. When you pile them all up at one time, wait till the pain hits you, then you pile them up. That's how you get addicted to it. The doctor's supposed to monitor you when you do that stuff. That's why when I have surgery and stuff, I make sure they don't give me none of that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I've been around people that been abused, and sometimes I couldn't really say nothing or do nothing because a lot of times if you get involved and they make up, then they mad with you. Only way I'll get involved if they hurt somebody really. But I mean, I have seen even where I worked at, where the guy beat the girl up so bad. Cause I was outside cleaning up. Let me say, stay at the bottom of the hill. The guy jumped out the car and he beat his girlfriend up so bad. Her mother standing there looking at him, looking at him. I thought the girl was dead, but she was tipped over in the car and she was just laying there. And the mother just standing there. I was like, so when the police came, the girl got up. Then she talking about, oh, I love you and all this stuff. Police like, oh my God, you can't jump and stuff like that. I mean, when the police left, I said something to the mouth. And I said, look, you see this? That's your daughter.
Watching certain stuff like that, I know there are some people who and trigger warning, because if this is something that you're going through currently, it's not to say whether it's right or wrong. We ain't got no hell or heaven to put you in. So yeah, it is what it is. But if you're in a space where you feel like you want to get help, please get the help that you need.
But I mean, I'm not triggered. I'm at peace now because I ain't never.
I'm talking about for the viewers, for the people that are watching.
Right.
If they are triggered by what is happening or what is being said.
Yeah, because you could be easy to get triggered by certain words somebody calls you. You know what I mean? You get triggered. They call you all out your name and all this stuff. But I can't stand it when somebody call me out my name. I really, and especially if a man call you out your name. No, that's definitely a no-no.
That's true right there.
And once they look like they get ready to raise their hand at you, you better stop right then and there and walk away. Don't give them no second chance. Keep it moving. So you keep giving them a second chance, because the second chance might be too late. You don't know what his motive is, because it's not worth going to jail behind nobody.
I'm shooting first and asking questions later. I'm a sharpshooter. Did you know that? I can shoot guns. And I'm certified to do it. Period. But no, I remember having a conversation and I was like, that's not something that I see for myself. That's not something that I see, honestly, and I don't wanna do that. I remember just having a conversation with my friends this past weekend, and I remember just me being in spaces where it was like I have to advocate for myself. And sometimes that means me leaving a space in order to get better or to be better. And I do that often, quite often. I'm not staying around for this, and I don't have to. I literally do not have to.
Because if I have a friend or somebody and they keep going, I just leave that person alone, because you gotta make up your mind. You gotta make up your mind. You gonna leave or not? Because I can't tell you to leave somebody.
I'm saying even beyond that, just situations that don't necessarily serve you. So beyond relationships, even when it comes down to depression or alcoholism, like anything like that. Like I'm just like, listen, for me specifically, I'm like, I can't, there are just things that I can no longer go back to. Um, and I've realized that over the years, it has been me advocating for myself to kind of push myself through what that looks like. Because there weren't, regardless of, I forgot who I had this conversation with. We was talking about like having real live examples of people in your life. But what I realized is everybody just trying to make it. Like people are just people. They people. Some people see the good in every situation. Some people see the bad. Some people don't see it all. We call that delusion. But yeah, whatever helps you get through, honestly. But and where was I going with that? Holy
What
Spirit.
made me stay in the house and mind my business? It's got a lot. I don't. But sometimes people be trying to get in your business, and they not really there to help you. And it's like something happened. Somebody said, "Oh, you ain't get over there by now." You know, some stuff it takes years to get over it.
Get over what?
Anything, whatever you went through, sometimes you will hurt your feelings or whatever, or say things in front of people, and that could cause you to slip out too, or badmouth you for something you didn't do.
Yeah. No, for me, I just had to, I don't know. I don't know.
And a lot of times you be around people, even depression is not always about abuse. You could be around somebody that's sick. That causes you to be depressed. You know that person's sick, and then you got people trying to make somebody stay longer, knowing good and well that person's sick. You know how many people I have to sit there and watch? That that's enough to grab you up the wall right there. My grandmother, this one and that one, then you gotta go see this person sick. I don't know how them nurses deal with that. Even though it's not their family members, whatever, but still they can sit there and smile while they're working with somebody. Like I told my cousin one time, I can't keep coming to no hospital looking at nobody sick. But that after a while will take a toll on you.
I don't do it. I've let everybody know that is not my forte. I'm not.
I mean, I used to do it for years to go to the nursing homes and so on, different. But see, there's a difference. They not my family member, but if your family member, you got to sit there and take care of them. That's a whole new ball game. A lot of workers can be very stressful and whatever. And then next thing you know, you've been depressed behind certain stuff.
Did you just kick my cat?
No.
Yeah. No. Um, were you were you ever depressed when um when we were younger?
I ain't gonna say depressed. I don't want to. I'll say filled with the blues. A lot of times I'll be in a house, I'll be that feeling. I think a lot of that comes from worrying about other people. Too busy worrying about other people instead of worrying about myself. That's why I was saying if I was a minister or something or had to pray for people, I'm gonna tell them unspoken prayer requests because I don't need to know your business like that. And that's why you were saying you need to guard your heart. My heart not guarded like that.
What?
You know how somebody come to you and tell you these sad stories or something, then I'll be getting feeling. I'll be like putting myself in that person's position. how would I feel if I was in that? I consider myself a little depressed. I mean, not to the point where I would just stay in the house and go to sleep. I make myself go to sleep. You remember I used to bring my little wine and all that stuff. So that's my thing to kind of ease a lot of stuff off of my brain. Yeah, because you was like, why you got all this in here? You remember I used to go around the club talking to the guys on my job around the corner. That club across the street, I came home drunk. During that time, I was getting depressed because my brother was sick. Um, that was 2000 and I believe it was 7. My brother was sick. The doctor called me up and told me all this stuff. I mean, of course, and then my mom called me, said she was sick. You know, that all that stuff made my pressure go up, made me sick, you know. And I didn't want to go to Florida. I didn't want to get on the airplane. So I went across the street with guys. They all started crying in the day going bar. It was like, I didn't know all that stuff was going on. And then all them guys were telling me about their stuff was going on. So I was sitting there listening to that, listening to all this other stuff, going to see my brother. And the doctor said not to come up there. He didn't want nobody to go up there. So I went up there. And when somebody said not to come see somebody, that you better not to go. And I saw in the position he was in, it was enough. I could have had a nervous breakdown. I hurry up home. I said, oh my God. You know, I went to the bar and got, to the liquor store, got me some stuff and kind of erased that out of my brain. And that was horrible when you see somebody sick like that. But then your godmother say she was sick, and on top of that, my pressure was up. I was in and out the hospital because my pressure was up. And then the doctor was saying, you need it. I was like, oh no. They wasn't gonna dope me up.
Yeah, see, and that's all news to me.
Well, they was all news to you. Well, and then when my mother was sick, and I think you might have got a whiff of it then, because you wrote your teacher a letter about you praying that my family get it together. And your grandmother was in the hospital sick. And you wrote the teacher a letter. I remember you wrote the teacher a letter about that. And then we went to what's it, Mrs. Marie Church when Kurt Franklin was there. You went there and talked to Kurt Franklin. You asked him a lot of questions. And my mother was in the hospital today, and I had surgery the day before, which I'm not supposed to have been out. And you questioned Kurt Franklin and how he got saved and all that kind of stuff. So during that time too.
Yeah,
But a lot of times people be depressed. You wouldn't even know they depressed because they keep it moving. And they thinking they sad, but they not really sad. They depressed. It's a difference between being depressed and sad.
and depression shows.
Mm-hmm.
There are signs. Um, there are definitely signs, like a lot of disengagement. And I know for you, that was just your mode of refuge in a sense. Like, and I think we had this conversation on the phone a few weeks ago. We're just talking about how, you know, everybody is in a space of survival, regardless if you a mother, a pastor,
Right, everybody.
A daughter. Everybody's literally trying to figure it out. So number one, I applaud you for living, right? Like just making a decision to continuously live and to live out loud, right? Two, but then like putting it down, like saying, because fun fact, I gave all of my mothers a book for Mother's Day.
Mm.
Just like to um give me their stories really honestly, truly, because Number one, selfishly, because everybody getting older.
We not
And
getting no younger.
and I don't know people's lives. So I want to say that you and I didn't necessarily have a conversation about your life or like how you kind of got to know my father until Father's Day 2020 after my father committed suicide. So it was just like, all right, now we're in a space where we're having a conversation. And I could be wrong. Like I did a lot of drugs in college.
Huh?
I did a lot of drugs in college. My memory is shot. I don't be knowing stuff. Smoked a lot of weed. But yeah, for that moment, like that was one of the moments where I was just like, okay, this is a human being. Like I got to see you as a human versus this is who my mother is. So with me accepting the fact that you are Sandra first, like you had a whole life. You ain't had me till you was what, 32?
Mm-hmm.
So it was like, all right, you lived a full life. I'm 33. I lived a full life prior to getting socks. But yeah, and now my life like encumbers him. Like my life is he is a part of that now. So like adapting and making sure that I'm in the house by a certain time and I gotta feed him if I'm gonna be outside all hours of the night, whatever. But not even to equate that to an actual child because that's different, but it's like things had to change when you decided to give life. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, all right, I'm gonna birth this person and things are gonna be different. So as a child, going back to the conversation that you started with, like um parents need to be real about what's going on so their kids are not necessarily looking for answers.
And so you gotta realize around that time when you're young, I wasn't gonna try to really tell you, cause you're a big a man that y'all used to talk about everything, and so you mad, and you always talking, pro life, whatever, certain things, and we're like, ain't no way you can tell how that, y'all got to together and talk about certain stuff like that. No, and
Well,
that's
why not?
not you and Amanda talking about it.
Talking about what?
About your father, about during that time where he was at and all that stuff.
Well, why
But
not?
sometimes some kids could be cool to the other kids that could get mad. They might say, "Well, these my," you never know. You don't want to, get it all out in the public, or when somebody get mad with you. That's why sometimes I don't say nothing to people. But people could be cool, just like for example, I know somebody helped a person one time, right? And the person got mad to the person. Well, you ate my food up. You slept in my house. So that's why sometimes you see stuff like that. Certain persons do stuff like that. I don't accept stuff from 'em. I don't. When they call me, I don't. I don't engage or whatever. Say hi and bye. Even sometimes the people in the church will do that. Or a person in the church does that kind of stuff.
But you can't live your life with
But
the
I'm not going.
expectation
But
with,
I'm not going to sit there and tell her my business.
and that's fine. I'm not saying
And
that.
I wouldn't even ask her if I needed something. I wouldn't even go to her.
I'm not saying that you need to be open and honest with everybody that
Yeah, that's what I'm
you
saying. They might say, "Is you
encountering.
okay?" But I mean, I'm okay. It ain't like I need to go to counseling or nothing.
What I'm asking, or what I was saying, was as it pertains to your children, the same people that we've already established that will literally pass the traumas,
Right.
like the same things that you experience are literally the exact same things that I would eventually experience at some point.
Right.
So similarly to what you said, literally, and that's what you said, people need to be honest about where they are or what's happening so their children are well equipped for
Right.
what is to come next.
Right.
And not saying that you didn't do that. It's just I remember feeling really, really lost. Like I don't have the answers. I don't know. And I would go to other people to kind of figure out what that was.
Well, a lot
That's
of
how
times,
Aunt Sean kind of came into the picture because it's like, okay, cool.
for a lot of people, if you notice, a lot of people in your circle, they basically have a similar story.
Yeah.
you know.
I made that realization a long time ago.
Right.
And even with that, so going back to the conversation that I had with Auntie Melissa and them, I was like, everybody has experienced the same thing. So why is it that it's hard, especially within Black communities or Black families? Why is it so hard for us to have conversations around the things? And I do understand, as a person who has experienced life in a real way, I understand how traumatic it can be to start reliving those situations by having conversations. But the power and the transformation actually comes from sharing your story so that folks won't go through the same things. And it's the reason that I have platforms such as this so that I can do that for people. And while it may be entertaining to some degree, I think I'm funny. People may not, but I think I'm funny. It's real life, like it's real. And we talk about some real issues. We discuss some real things. There are people who comment and say, that the conversations have helped them. I don't. There have been times where I wish that life were. There have been times where I wish that life was different for
Right.
me, where I was shameful in a lot of the things that I experienced, and I carried a lot of shame for a long time. And I don't know if you knew, but I carried a lot of shame. Like it was just like, okay. Even in the midst of still doing all of these great things, right? So helping people and showing up and being. I was telling somebody the other day that I had 2 dolls in an artscape 1 year. Like
2 dogs, you did 2 dogs.
I know, that's what I'm saying. So like in the midst of doing all of these great things, like I still suffered. Like I still suffered in silence, so to speak, but not necessarily because again, I realized that I always had to advocate for myself, like whether it was just sharing how I'm feeling, or standing up for injustice. I was never one to just stop it.
But it's funny because you used to tell grown ups about this stuff. You be telling them to leave this one alone, that one alone, why this, why that. And then, but it's sometimes easy to tell somebody else about our situation. It's hard for some reason.
It's hard because you literally have to relive it. And people don't want to, if I already experienced the trauma, I went through it already. I don't want to relive it. And it's hard to do. Oh, please. But yeah, that's hard. That's hard to do. It's hard to relive something that you've already experienced, especially if it wasn't ideal. So I get that. I totally understand that now, especially being an adult. I know as a kid, like as a teenager, of course, like we have all of these, we have all of these big feelings because we're coming into adolescence and your body changing and you just want to know more and all this other stuff. Like it'd be a lot. And of course that ain't changed. Like y'all know what that evolution is like. So for me, it was I always want to have like authentic conversations around what the possibility of a thing could be. But um, you know, understanding who you are again has been the trajectory for me. Like it has made the turn for me. It's like, okay, I'm now able to see you as the person outside of my mother. Yes, you're my mom. You're the person that brought me into this world, right? But again, understanding that you too have experiences. Like you've lived a full life and you continue to live a full life. Like you got married, you got a house, like you working, you got these dogs, you feed the birds, you got these friends, like you're still living life. And while all of us are doing so, who's to say that we got it right? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it's like, I can't, as an adult now, I can't fault you for how you show up or how you have shown up in the past or whatever, because Number one, your upbringing was very different. Number two, you was trying to figure it out. Like I tell people all the time, like as the first kid,
but when you were coming,
you always gonna fuck up because
no, as the first kid, you were spoiled. You forget you were spoiled.
I'm just saying.
And you always want to go.
It's trial and error.
You're a man. You're a man. Just bye. See you later. I'm like, go ahead, man.
It's trial and error when it comes to the first children. People do not care about us. Check in on the oldest kids. The people don't care.
Really?
People don't care.
That's not true. You're a man that was spoiled.
I ain't talking about that. I'm saying like there's just a level of understanding for oldest. Like you was trying to figure it out, and that's cool. I accept it. I realized that. But then yeah, it was just about really trying to figure out what life was gonna be like for myself, in addition to other people kind of helping shape what that looks like.